Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a tag video for you on Tag Tuesday. Very excited. I haven't done a tag in quite a while. I'm not sure why, other than I've just been busy and forget about them. And then this tag came up and then someone tagged me in it and I said, okay, all the signs are pointing that I need to do this tag. And the tag is the A to Z hot or not tag that was created by Greg over at Another Bibliophile Reads. And I was tagged by Elizabeth over at Bookish A. Absolutely, you should go check out their channels if you're not familiar with them. They are both wonderful. Greg and I actually started our channels right around the same time. So absolutely you should go and check them out. But the A to Z tag, what is it? The A to Z hot or not tag. So there is a prompt for every letter of the alphabet and you have to, you answer with each one whether or not you think that item is hot or not. Very simple concept. It should be a fairly quick tag and it has the added benefit that I didn't actually have to read a book in order to do this tag, which is fantastic. So, all right, A is for audiobooks. Hot under certain circumstances. I usually pick up an audiobook when I am struggling with a book. So if it is a very difficult book, a very long book, sometimes I'll add the audiobook for my reading experience. I will have an audiobook if I want to take it in the car with me, but I don't actively search out audiobooks and listen to audiobooks without the physical book to correspond with it. So it's kind of why it's a hot in certain circumstances. I don't think I'm supposed to say any qualifications, but we're doing it with that one. B, Bildungsroman, dealing with a person's formative years or spiritual education. I'm going to say not. There's very few examples of this where I was like so enamored by it. I did like Demon Copperhead. I thought that was truly brilliant. I like real stories, nonfiction stories that sometimes have that coming of age type of piece of it. But for the most part, I'm not searching these out or looking for these either. So I'm going to go with not. C is children's books. Not. I don't read children's books. I don't search them out. Sometimes I will read middle grade. I do like a good middle grade, but children's books in general, no, not. D is for digital. Hot, hot, hot. I have my lovely e-reader right here. This is my iPad that actually has Greg on it from his hot or not video because I have all the prompts in here. I read frequently from my digital e-reader. I have the Kindle app on this. I also have Apple iBooks on this, and I can check out library books from digital library books. So I read quite a bit from this. I do like a good physical book, but the older I get, the more I appreciate from a digital reader the ability to change the font. So yeah, and I can read in all kinds of lighting with a digital book. With a physical book, I have to have good lighting and it has to have decent font. So E is experimental. Not. I'm not picking up experimental books. I tend to not do that. They're not something that I'm looking for. Anything that I've seen that were like experimental, like House of Leaves and the formatting, it's just kind of okay. It's not something that I'm actively searching out. I do like a book with a good hook in it though. Like the Book of Form and Emptiness has a really interesting premise to it, which I thought was great, but I don't know if you'd consider it experimental. So I'm going to say not. F is fantasy. I'm trying, everyone. I'm trying to make this into a hot category, but right now it is still a not. I've been in a reading group with Gemma from Gemma Books, Dia over at Novel Idea, and Jack at Spread Book Joy. All of you are now tagged to do this tag, by the way. And we have been trying to read fantasy books. And so far out of, I think, the 4 we've read, we've had one solid hit, which was Sword of Kaigen. And so I'm struggling with fantasy. I mean, I do have a couple of other ones. I mean, I have like this one, The Fourth Wing, which I did read, which I thought was just, someone called it dragon porn, which I can see why. But it was, it was a lot of fun, but I'm not actively searching out fantasy still. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to get this into a hot category. I am. G is for graphic novel. Not. I'm not picking up graphic novels. I have no interest in really picking them up. I did read Mouse by Art Spiegelman, at least the first volume. I don't have the second volume. And I did like that one quite a bit, but I haven't went out and bought the second one. Now I'm on a book buying ban of my Read What You Own challenge, so I can't go pick it up. But I don't gravitate towards them. They're not something I'm really looking to read. H is for horror. not. I do have some Stephen King, and I do have some success reading Stephen King, but it's not my favorite. It's not my go-to. I would prefer a different genre in there. I did try and read Manhunt by, gosh, what's her name? Gretchen something. I can't remember her last name now. And it just didn't work for me, and I just could not get past the first part of it. It could be that it was the type of horror that it was, but I do have, it sitting on my shelf. I have different seasons, which is a bind up of different books. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep it in the not category. I is for inspirational. Typically not, unless it's a nonfiction inspirational type story. I do like a good underdog story. I like a good, that kind of a piece, but I'm not searching out like an inspirational book to read. I don't know why. It's just not really been my thing. J is for journalism. I'm not reading journalism. It's something I just never look at or pick up or care to pick up. K is for kitsch, has a popular or sentimental appeal. Typically not, though I'm not sure if this qualifies, but I definitely am. I'm definitely someone who gets sucked in by a pretty book on a shelf at Barnes & Noble. That is why I bought this one, because this gold is so pretty. So from that perspective, I would say yes, but other than that, not. L is for library. Hot, hot, hot. I can't speak highly enough about the library that I'm lucky enough to have in my area. I'm part of the King County Library System in Washington State, and it is phenomenal. There is a wide number of branches. I have one a mile from my house. I can put books on hold. They have an outdoor locker set up, so I don't even have to go in if I don't need to, or if I want to pick up something after hours. I can reserve ebooks and audiobooks, and their library is extensive, and I found so many books that way, and I just absolutely love it. When I found out I could check out ebooks from the library, my library usage went up tenfold. It really did change my reading experiences, and it saved me a lot during COVID because I was able to check out books, because our library is closed, but we could still check out ebooks, and I loved that. It was amazing. I had so many books at my fingertips. So yeah, hot, hot, hot for the library. M is for mystery. I'm going to go with hot on mystery. I do like a good mystery. I love Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None is one of my favorite books of all time. I'm planning on reading two Agatha Christie in December. So yeah, I definitely am going to say hot. I love trying to figure it out. I'm not very good at figuring it out, but I love trying to figure it out. O is for omnibus. I'm going to say not. I mean, I do have a couple right behind me, Shakespeare and Sherlock Holmes right behind me. And I do have a couple of other ones, but I like reading it when it's a smaller book. I don't like reading from this big chunky thing. Much rather have a bunch of little books that I could pick up and read. Maybe it's so I feel like I'm accomplishing something. I'm not sure, but yeah, I much prefer just to have a bunch of the little books rather than a big omnibus of books. P is for poetry. I'm going to say not. I don't pick up poetry. I don't search out poetry. I do have a big selection of world poetry that I think I bought because of Steve Donahue. So yeah, because he recommended that particular one. So that particular book, but I haven't read it yet. Maybe it will help me get more into poetry, but right now it's a not. Q is for quests. When the protagonist goes on a quest, physical or spiritual. I mean, it tends to be not. I think this kind of goes hand in hand sometimes with the fantasy genre. I did like Lord of the Rings, and that certainly was a big quest in that one, but I'm not searching it out. I'm not looking for it. So I'm going backwards. R is for romance. Hot, hot, hot. I love romance. I am such a big romance reader. Before I started my YouTube channel, I probably read a ton of romance, and I didn't care what kind of romance it was. I would read paranormal. I would read just, boy meets girl, standard formulaic romance. I'd read military romance. I love romance. It is such a brain candy genre for me that I don't get to read that often anymore because I'm so into my 1001 list. So I should try and work in more romance from time to time, but I do hot, hot, hot for romance. And the spicier, the better. Absolutely. Definitely the spicier, the better. S is for science fiction. I am now leaning into the hot category with this one. I have read a numerous number of science fiction books. I just posted a video not too long ago about my favorite science fiction reads that are starting to make me love the genre. So I'm going to put this into the hot category. I think it's a good place to put it, hot, because I'm hoping to lean even more into that. And I know I have a number of other science fiction books on my shelves that hopefully will get me there. T is for translation. books translated from one language into another. I mean, largely hot, but again, I'm not searching them out and looking for them, but I do tend to like them when I read them. Some of my favorites are classics that were translated, like Les Miserables. I have Don Quixote over here, somewhere over here. So yeah, I do like some translated books for sure. U is for Übermensch. Okay. Super or extraordinary human, characters who can everything. I'm going to say not. I'm not really into that as much. I'm not reading that as much. So yeah, I'm going to say not. V is for Victorian. I'm going to say hot. I do read quite a bit of Victorian literature because it is there are a number of books on the 1001 list that are Victorian, and we just came out of October. So yeah, I'm going to say hot for Victorian. W is Western. Okay, so I don't know if it's quite hot, but there is a series of books that I love that are Westerns. And if you had asked me before reading that, I would have said not about Westerns. But Lonesome Dove, definitely, by Larry McMurtry, changed my perspective on Westerns. I also love a good Western romance, by the way. I think those are a lot of fun. But largely, I don't read them. But Lonesome Dove by itself puts Westerns kind of in the hot category, I would say. All right, X for X-rated. I'm going to say hot. I do like a good X-rated like romance novel. I like that quite a bit. I mean, I just think the spicier they are, the more unrealistic they are. I love that quite a bit. Again, I don't get to read as much of it now, but I'm a fan. I am a fan. It might surprise you that I say I'm a fan of that, but I am. Y is for young adult. Kind of. I would say lukewarm, but more lukewarm to not is what I would say, because I just can't deal with sometimes the angsty side of young adult that drives me bananas. But there are books like Wonder by R.J. Palacio that are just so magnificent, that are young adult books, that I love them. I also have a large collection of Roald Dahl, but again, they're not my favorite. I'm not shopping the young adult section when I go out book shopping. And Z or Z for zeitgeist, spirit or mood of the times. I'm going to say not. And the reason for that is because reading during the pandemic about pandemics, I couldn't do it. It very clearly was like, I'm reading about a big war story with all the war going on. It's just, for me, I can't, it's not something I like to do. Even Empire of Pain, which is a nonfiction book about the opioid crisis, I read it fairly after. I don't know why, but like the spirit of the times, it's not something that I can really do. So who am I tagging in this tag? So I already tagged Jack at Spread Bookjoy, Gemma from Gemma Books, who has a series called Hot or Not for books that she was reading. She just did one on Britney Spears. So definitely those, and Dia over at Novel Idea. I think I'm going to tag Gina Stanier at Gina Stanier Books, because I don't think she's done this one yet, and I would love to see her version of this particular one. So I think I'm going to go with those for now. I had someone else in mind, and now I'm forgetting who it was. Oh, shoot. Oh, well. Anyway, hopefully you like this tag video. What do you think of my answers? Are we aligned? I've been watching a lot of these videos, and it's like some people I'm really closely aligned with, and some people I'm just exact opposite to, which I find really, really fascinating. So love to hear your responses or I'd love to hear your comments in the descriptions about whether or not you agree with a lot of what I rated hot and not. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.